Today is May the 2nd. What happened today 351 years ago? What happened is that King Charles II, as you know very well, King of England, granted a permanent charter to the Hudson's Bay Company to be able to start up their fur trade in North America, specifically in Canada. The Hudson's Bay Company, by the way, still exists today with over 30,000 employees. Of course, it's no longer what it used to be. It no longer trades fur, but it's a momentous occasion. The Hudson's Bay Company for a long time, for, over 100 years, acted as sort of like a government system in North America during the frontier times in NA. Now we have to pause this very interesting history lesson because we have to talk about a few of the additions we have gathered from the PTR of 9.1, which is the fact that Blizzard started pushing out the first preliminary numbers for Soul Cinders. If you have kept track with the news, Soul Cinders is the new material you will have to go and pick up in Torghast to upgrade your legendary to rank 5 and rank 6. Right now in the game, the legendary stops at rank 4. 235 item level, rank 5 is 250 item level, and rank 6 is 260 item level. So how much of this damn thing are you going to get from the layers of Torghast? How long is it going to take you to upgrade your legendary, etc, etc. Most of this is just speculation talk, mostly because we know that this is the PTR and we know that it exists for a reason, which is to just test. That is in the name of the public test realm. So very likely these numbers are going to change depending on what Blizzard will decide, but I guess this is what they're starting with as their default numbers, their first initial test numbers. Maybe we will come back here a few weeks from now and the numbers will actually remain the same. So the first thing to know is that we already were aware of the fact that the new layers added in Torghast in 9.1, layer 9, 10, 11, and 12, were going to give you Soul Cinders. Now we also know that Blizzard plans to give you extra Soul Ash if you complete those layers. Even though we have already established that you won't need Soul Ash to upgrade your legendary to rank 5 and 6, if you go and do the layers 9 through 12, you will still get some nice extra Soul Ash for those layers. 110 precisely. So if you have to do 2 wings per week, that's 220 extra Soul Ash you will be getting every week compared to what you're getting now in the game. Soul Cinders will also work in a similar way to Soul Ash, which is the fact that you get some extra from other activities in the game. Right now, you can get extra Soul Ash from your mission table. That's your extra, 130, 150 based on the quest you're getting, right? That is the extra Soul Ash you can get. In 9.1, Blizzard has also added some more ways to acquire Soul Cinders. You can get 50 from completing the Tormentors of Torghast event, which is a weekly one, so that's 50 per week. And you can also get 50 Soul Cinders for completing the Mo assaults, which are going to be new in 9.1. I have featured these assaults very early on in the covering of the PTR for 9.1 a couple of weeks ago. Those are the new assaults that will be present in the Mo and will cycle a couple of times a week, just like the Nyalotha assaults, the invasions that you had to clear in Uldum and in the Valley. 50 Soul Cinders, and then on Friday you get the new assault, you recomplete the assault and you get another 50. So that's 150 Soul Cinders per week. Very similarly to the 100 and extra Soul Ash per week you can get extra from the mission table. Yes, technically speaking, getting 150 extra Soul Ash takes you about 3 clicks from a minigame, whereas this 150 Soul Cinders is going to take you quite a bit more effort. And that's annoying. I was perfectly fine getting this tiny little bit of Soul Ash extra every week by doing absolutely nothing. Now I actually have to work for it. I don't like getting things while having to work for it. I am partial to getting things for free, especially when they are a grind that lasts for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and months and months. It doesn't really have a clear end. That is a little bit annoying. What was also data mined from before this has stayed the same was the number of Soul Ash required to craft your legendary, which is still unchanged. 1,250 for your rank 1, 2,000 for your rank 2, 3,200 for your rank 3, and then 5,150 for your rank 4. And then 0 Soul Ash for your rank 5 and 0 Soul Ash for your rank 6, replaced by Soul Cinders. Currently, Blizzard has put into the game the cost for the rank 5 legendary being 500 Soul Cinders and 1,150 Soul Cinders to get to rank 6 for a combined total of 1,650 to craft the rank 5 plus the rank 6 in terms of cost of Soul Cinders. Now, what about the earning of Soul Cinders from Torghast? Because we have mentioned that the layer 9 through 12 will also give you Soul Ash, sure, but that's for the old legendaries. That's just in case you need to craft some more legendaries you're left behind. The Soul Cinder gain right now has been made by Blizzard to be 60, 50, 40, and 30. So layer 9, 10, 11, and 12 are going to give you a total of 180 Soul Cinders per wing. Of course, the thing where you can clear 2 per week is still gonna be there, which means 360 Soul Cinders per week. We have just mentioned that you can get 150 from the Mo activities, which totals out to be 360 plus 150 equals 510. We started as a history lesson video, and now we are turning into a math video, because if you kept track of the previous paragraph where it takes you 500 Soul Cinders to craft the rank 5, and now you're earning 510 per week, which means very simply you can craft the rank 5 every week. As long as you have it to rank 4 thanks to your Soul Ash, every week you will be able to get it to rank 5. Now, unfortunately, very frustratingly, you won't be able to get your rank 6 legendary in 3 weeks, because 510 for 3 weeks is 1530, and you need 1650 to craft the rank 6, the 260 item level legendary. This means very simply, in very simple terms, it's going to take you 1 week to craft the rank 5 and 4 weeks, a month, to craft the rank 6. The main change that this applies to the way you are crafting legendaries right now is that it's going to take you slightly less than 4 weeks, whereas right now it takes you over. So it would have taken you 5 resets in 9.0 right now to get a max rank legendary, whereas in the new patch in 9.1 it's going to take you slightly less, 3.8 weeks it's been calculated so far. So 4 resets. Also helped you by the fact that now you're earning more Soul Ash. So if you were left behind in terms of Soul Ash generation because you have started not doing Torghast anymore, or maybe simply because Blizzard is buffing a legendary you have never even touched and you never even crafted and you need it, then it's going to take you 4 weeks, it's going to take you a month, basically. Now, of course, to be able to get the Soul Cinders, you have to progress through Torghast. From layer 9 through layer 12, you have to pass the check mark, 9, 10, 11, until you enter the number 12, and that's done, as mentioned already, by passing the stars, the gems rating in the new Torghast, which Blizzard has implemented a couple of days ago. You need 4 out of 5 to be able to enter the following layer. Now, there has been some calculation right now as to how exactly you're getting these points. These are getting, as I mentioned, it didn't take long since I mentioned in a while it's going to be completely dissected. It's going to be reverse engineered and you will know exactly what you need to do to get the score you want, to go past the artificial wall of getting 4 out of 5 of a score to be able to progress. Currently, it seems like these gems are given to you based on your score. From 0 to 40 score is 1 gem, 40 to 80 is 2 gems, and then up to 120 is 3 gems, 160, which is the one you need to progress layers, and then 5 gems is past 200 score, which a possible, supposed, speculated maximum points available in a Torghast run being 220. Now, there have been some numbers and calculation being done. The fact that you can get 100 points just for completing the actual layer, 50 bonus points for ending below the par time, which is something Blizzard seems to be adding, essentially similar to a Mythic Plus timer. Now, the par timer seems to have been data mined to be very, very lenient. Just to complete layer 8, which is what you're doing right now in the game, the par time is below 33 minutes. So that is a pretty wide, that is a pretty generous number for you to finish. That shouldn't really be an issue at all. Then there is the souls clicked and the urns smashed. This is going to be the more annoying one. Yes, clicking souls and yes, destroying urns helps your streak bar, your empowerment bar. So this is something you usually do. But let's be honest, you don't do it all the times. Really? Come on. You know, maybe you're running left, you see that on the right, far away, there is a soul. Are you going to track back and walk all the way there just to click on a soul? You're like, fuck it, whatever, I don't care. And you just keep going, right? With this new scoring system, you're actually going to get 10 bonus points at the end if you clicked every soul in every floor of the layer. And on a similar note, this is going to be even worse, if you destroyed all the urns, you will be gaining bonus points. Now, the weirder one, which is also harder to quantify, is going to be the time you have spent empowered. We have touched already what the empowerment bar is. You keep staying empowered throughout the run by clicking souls and urns as mentioned, killing elites, killing normal mobs, etc, etc. And it does seem like the more time you spend being empowered throughout the whole run, the more bonus points you're going to get at the end, which is what is going to help you eventually get to high scores and whatnot. That being said, honestly, it's not that many people are going to care about high ranks and whatnot, as long as you can clear your 4 stars or whatever you will need to go 1 layer higher. People will just eventually just sit on their 2 highest layers being completed every week for their new Soul Ash, their Soul Cinders, for their Legendary, and then just quit. You know, if you don't like Torghast, if you want to do the bare minimum for Torghast, that's what you're gonna be doing. And that's perfectly fine because you will be joining me. That's what I will be doing, so hey, I'll keep you company. Now, the other 2 tiny things to mention for the day, which we haven't mentioned previously, is number 1, the first edition in the PTR of Blizzard's own Raider.io system. Now, I'm gonna go and predict how Blizzard tries to tackle this. It seems like Blizzard is just laying down the framework for the Raider.io system. Basically, their idea is, how can we make a very bare bones, very casual, very entry-level version of Raider.io. Raider.io is a little bit too technical. There are a little bit too many numbers, too many things to look at, so we don't want to make this that taxing to the poor casual players' brains, so instead we're gonna go for something much smaller in size. This way, literally everyone who was using Raider.io before will continue to use Raider.io and completely ignore this system. This is more just to give the real casuals, that bigger layer of casuals, a score system implemented in the game. Because from the first look, the score doesn't really tell you much of anything. When you queue up for Mythic Plus, you will see the leader's score. That's it. You have the name, you have the role, you have the item level, and now there is an extra tab called score. Hovering over the score, trying to look what the score means, is going to tell you nothing. You will not be able to see how many runs he has completed between 5 and 10, between 10 and 14, and how many 15 to 19, and how many 20 plus keys. You won't be able to see the highest keys for each dungeon, so you won't be able to see, for example, if you're trying to invite people for a plus 18, you won't even be able to see if that person has completed a plus 18 or even a plus 17 at all. So this is why I'm mentioning the fact that the score is very bare bones, is very entry level. There might be the possibility that Blizzard just introduced this and eventually they're going to expand on it, but I don't think so. I think it's basically their intention to just give the casual tier of players a sort of baseline to go from when it comes to score, without telling them to go and pick up Raider.io or giving them a more complex system like Raider.io, which isn't actually that complex, but you know, it's a lot of numbers. It can put people on the spot when it comes to being prepared or being worthy enough for dungeon keys and whatnot. So they're just gonna give them a one for everything type of score that you get to read in the base Blizzard UI, and that's it. So as I mentioned, to recap, this is not something anyone who was using Raider.io before is going to swap for, because it's just not giving you enough information for you to go by. The other point was people getting their hopes up for alts when it comes to catch-up gear. We already mentioned yesterday the catch-up mechanisms that Blizzard is planning to add in 9.1, so there was also this point related to the gear. What we have right now in 9.0 is the addition of Crafter's Mark, the crafting item which allows you to bring up a piece of gear to higher item levels. This is the alternate item to the other one added in Shadowlands, which is the Relics of the Past. That is the item that allows you to lower the item level of certain items for, you know, twinks and whatnot. Anyways, Crafter's Mark were very pointless, so to speak, because their item level was pretty low. It's not that it allowed you to get that much better gear for your alt characters. You might as well just spam Time Walk dungeons or even heroic dungeons to gear up your character rather than having to go through the hassle of crafting these pieces, which were just too low in item level. What was data mined, what transpired in 9.1's PTR was the addition of the Crafter's Mark of the Chained Isle, which is the crafting item for Crafter's Mark 4. So the extra tier of Crafter's Mark. This is pretty important because the item itself read, set the item level to 230 and the required level to 60. Hey, hold on a second. In 9.1 Sanctum of Domination, Mythic Raiding will drop 252 item level, the base item level, not the last two bosses, which will drop 259. Heroic will be dropping 239 item level as a base, and normal will be dropping 226. Just like the previous expansions, the normal mode of the new raid equals the mythic mode of the previous raid, so of Castronatria. Okay, so you're giving us a crafter's mark, which allows us to get better than normal gear from the raid of the next tier. Now, this is good. This makes it usable. As a matter of fact, it might make it even usable for main characters, at least for the first few weeks. Of course, if the crafter's mark is gated behind some type of reputation farming, for example, something that Blizzard has done before, like the new reputation faction, that's advanced. You can only buy this crafter's mark, let's just say after you hit Revered with that's advanced, which takes you a month. Okay, fine. After a month, very likely the majority of the main characters will have gone past 230 item level and not really make this crafter's mark worth. But for alts, it's still gonna be pretty good. You know, imagine 2 months after the release of the tier, maybe you've gotten bored or tired, or you feel like you've seen enough on your main and it's time to pay more attention to your alts. You could have gotten this crafter's mark at your disposal to just quickly bring up the characters you wanted to play to 230 item level, which is a very good point to start with. Problem, the tooltip didn't end there. The tooltip did not end at required level 60. The tooltip continued and said, and adds unique equipped Shadowlands crafted. So initially, some very optimistic people said, oh, I get it, it's for rings. You craft this on a ring and you can't have a copy of the other ring. Unfortunately, it does look like the unique equipped is going to function just like if it was a legendary. Your 230 item level shiny piece is essentially going to be a one-of. You won't be able to craft yourself an entire gear of 230 item level on any character with this. You will just be limited to only one piece per gear. This makes it very confusing because then it turns to be useless. If you want to gear up one of your alts, just getting one 230 item level piece is just a slap in the face, you know? Your main character maybe will be 257, your Mythic Plus runs will be dropping 239 item level, 237, 235 already. You will even have, of course, heroic raids dropping 239. So one tiny little 230 piece seems pretty small. It seems like a pretty weird thing to limit the amount of items you can boost up to 230 with this item and then equip them. I wish Blizzard is going to reconsider on this because I do think it's a pretty cool way to get your alts geared up, particularly because at least right now, of course we don't know yet for sure, but at least right now the recipes, the patterns, the schematics for these crafter's marks items are pretty cheap. To be crafting a 230 item level piece, a normal raid quality piece of gear, they are not really that pricey, so you will be able to craft quite a bunch for your characters. So I wish Blizzard could just rethink this approach and maybe make a unique equipped 5, 4, 6 total items equipable with this crafter's mark tool. I think that would be enough to consider it worthy for your alts, to give them a good bump in item level, 4 to 5 pieces at 230 right from the get-go. I think that would be pretty cool as a start for your main character. It would also entice more people, because one of the main things that people often have to slog through and might hold people back is the thought of having to regrind all that stuff. Blizzard has now helped you not having to regrind as much, because you can now skip the Venari reputation stuff. You can now make Stygia and farming the Maw mostly irrelevant. You can now skip a lot of the story to jump directly into 9.1. The other part was the gear. This could have, jump-started you to the point where you could have gotten into Mythic Plus keys, +6, +8 range of Mythic Plus keys, rather than having to be so low you have to do heroic dungeons. Or sometimes you have to go around and do world quests because you don't even have the required item level to do heroic dungeons. This piece of gear, this crafter's mark, could have boosted your alt characters and saved them quite a few hours of frustrating grind, I guess, frustrating farm, where you just want to get to the good part, to the better part, but you have to chew through this piece of content that you're not really a fan of, and sometimes, often, many people are just discouraged from even trying, discouraged from even starting this entire process because of it. So I hope that Blizzard can think again about this item and make it a little bit more approachable for your alt characters. this was all for the day. We have gone through the first approach of Blizzard to the Soul Cinders currency farming that they're adding to 9.1. We've also checked on the score system for Torghast, which is starting to get more and more picked apart and examined, as well as the new added item for crafting, which could have been very cool, but right now it looks like a disappointment. And lastly, we have the expected, very basic, very bare bones system that Blizzard is adding to make their own version of Raider.io, which is in style very casual friendly, very entry level, very approachable by many type of players. Let me guys know what you think about all of these additions and changes. Thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe. As usual, if you do not want to subscribe, it is your decision, but I will judge you harshly because of it. See you guys soon, very likely tomorrow. And in the meantime, I just hope this whole Raider.io thingy from Blizzard doesn't cause trouble. People using two different scores, messing everything up.